Hey, folks, welcome to Vikings Report Rewind. I'm Ted Glover. With me are my usual partners in crime, the founder and lead writer of the SB Nation Viking site, the Daily Norseman, Christopher Kaiser Sose Gates. My partner in crime on Vikings Report with Drew and Ted, Drew Bunning. Toonces is in the background somewhere. And, folks, I would like to welcome you to a show that does not discuss college football at all. We only stick to the National Football League because college football is a complete waste of time. Drew, how are you, buddy? You must be riding high even after this loss a little bit.
Yeah, I love that game yesterday. We won't mention it too many times today, but all the Vikings burst in my bubble, Ted. All the happiness the Wolverines gave. The Vikings just sucked it right out of me, man. Right down the crack of my beehole.
You know, we had a chance in a 7-day period to have 2 Vikings wins and our big-time college rival victory happen for one of us. And good things don't happen because we can't have good things, Christopher Gates, can we?
We really can't. We really can't. I would be interested in paying good money to a Patreon for a transcript of the text messages between you and Drew at about 3:00 Central Time yesterday. That would have been something to see.
You know, we don't do a whole lot of trash talk. We actually talk about the game without throwing in the slings and arrows. We kind of did that on a show this week, but be that as it may, there's plenty of time to talk about the game. This game is the one everybody is here about. Vikings lose a tough one, 34-26. They fall to 5-6 on the year. They were neck and neck with the 49ers for either that 6th or 7th playoff spot. So this was a huge game in more than one way, not only with the Vikings winning, but potential tiebreaker scenarios. And Drew, the Vikings once again come up short when it matters the most.
Oh, so frustrating. First off, hello, Christopher Gates.
Hey, Drew.
Hello, Ted Glover. And
Hi.
hello to everybody who is tuning in to Vikings Rewind. I thank you and I appreciate the support for watching our show. I wish it was under different circumstances, but guys, Vikings have a carbon copy every week of the mistakes. Always have mistakes. Vikings have mistakes. They might win. They have a bunch of mistakes. They might lose. One thing's always consistent. They cannot play a clean game. What is with all the stupidity? If it keeps happening every week, what's the definition of insanity, man? Why doesn't it get fixed?
I don't know. Christopher, why don't you take a stab at this one?
I don't really know. There's so much to chew on with it.
No, I mean there's a lot to talk about with this one. I mean, I think this is kind of what we expected out of this one. At least is what I expected out of this one. I mean, the Niners, we know, want to run the football, and if you looked at the Vikings defensive line coming into this one, the 4 starters on opening day this year were Stephen Weatherly, Michael Pierce, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Danielle Hunter. And their statuses for today's game were traded and out and out and out. And your top backup in Everson Griffin was also out. I mean, obviously, football should be about the furthest thing for Everson Griffin. But, we had a bunch of guys in there. I mean, you got your DJ Wanhams and your Armin Watts and James Lynch. And I mean, those guys were holding down the fort as best they could, but in the end, the Niners just kind of ground this team down. And Eli Mitchell with 133 yards on the ground, Deebo Samuel with 66 more. I mean, I believe they had just about a 2-to-1 time of possession advantage, and that's what we should have expected them to do in this one, with the Vikings being as shorthanded up front as they were.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair, but the quality of defensive linemen the Vikings have fielded this year, even with their substitutes, are a fair amount better than the guys they played last year in 2020.
I won't argue that.
And they knew what the 49ers were going to do. They did, and the 49ers just at one point it would not have surprised me if Jimmy Garoppolo had come up to the Vikings in their huddle, said, "Boys, we are going to run off tackle to the right, and we're going to gain 8 yards." And then this is what they did. I mean, the Vikings had no answer to the 49ers running game all day.
No, they didn't.
200. What do we got, guys? 210 yards on the ground, a 5.7 average, and Chris was almost exactly right with the time of possession. Niners held the ball for 36 minutes and change, and 425 total yards of offense.
I
don't think it's on the D-line, though. I think it's the mistakes in general.
Oh, yeah.
It is. I totally agree.
It's the common sense mistakes, the things that Zimmer should already know that keep hampering this team every week. I mean, I know the D-line wasn't as strong for all the reasons Chris just said. That's not the reason they lost this game. They just make too many mind-blowing blunders. Offensively.
And offensively, defensively, it doesn't matter. It started off, though, pretty well. Harrison Smith had the first big play of the game, had a nice interception. The Vikings go down the field. They do a little flea flicker, get 1st and goal with Adam Thielen, and then 4th and goal from the 2, I believe it was. I fully expected the Vikings to roll out their field goal kicking unit, and they went for it, and Cousins found Adam Thielen for a touchdown. And they went up 7-0. And I thought, hey, I first of all, did you guys agree to go for it there, Drew?
I did.
Chris?
I did.
Definitely. I definitely do.
We all agree there. I love the early aggression that the Vikings had. They went up early 7-0. And it felt like the Vikings were starting to take control of the game. The 49ers on ensuing possession, they had a 3rd and 13. They had the 49ers dead to rights, and they gave up in consecutive plays a 47-yard reception to Brandon Ayuk, a 15-yard run to Elijah Mitchell, and then a 20-yard touchdown run to Deebo Samuel. So they go 40, 50, 60, 75, like a jillion yards in 3 plays. And the next thing you know,
on 3rd and 13.
Yeah, on 3rd and 13. 3rd and 13.
Unbelievable.
And that's where I thought, well, okay, this might be a shootout. But the Vikings kept feeding Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. They kind of ignored Jefferson in the first quarter, but they were throwing to Thielen. Their offense was playing fairly well. And they go on the first thing that made me think, oh, you talk about those handful of plays, laminated sheet of mistakes, whatever it is you want to call it, Drew. They had that 3rd and 1. And the Vikings lined up in shotgun, and they had, I think it was Justin Jefferson kind of go in motion in towards the formation, and then kind of does a little wheel out. And it was like this really slow developing play, and Cook got tackled for a loss. That play made absolutely no sense to me, Chris.
It doesn't make any sense to me either. I think I say once a week that lining up in the shotgun on 3rd and 1 is one of the dumbest things in football. I mean, we need to move the ball 1 yard, so let's snap it backwards 6 yards first, so we can see if we can go forward. It's so stupid. Line up. I even called for CJ Hamm there. If you're gonna use CJ Hamm for anything, by God, and they took him off the field, so there wasn't even the element of that there. But yeah, I hated that play call. The 3rd and 1 line up out of the shotgun. Yeah, that was not good.
Drew, let's talk about CJ Hamm, Alexander Madison, Kene Wangwu, Dalvin Cook. You talked about CJ Hamm. I want to know why, for the love of Norm Van Brocklin, Kene Wangwu does not see the field with the offense. Anybody got an answer for me on that?
I don't, and he should be, because he's got at least a chance to get some chunk yardage back there. You got to give him some shots. I remember he had 1 carry, and me and Ruby are going, all right, he's in the game. Then they took him out. You got to give Wayne Chung a little bit of time at running back. And I don't know how bad Cook is hurt, but the Vikings couldn't run the ball at all in the first half. They had like 12 yards.
No, they couldn't.
If you can't run the ball, I mean, that's Minnesota's staple. You got to move to something else. And I don't think you mentioned they looked fair in the first half, fairly decent. They didn't feel like the Niners aren't that good. It seemed like the Vikings should have been up 21-7 or something. It seemed like to me they were going back to that conservative calling, Ted.
It felt like it, yeah. And when it got to 7-7, and then the Vikings, you talked about opening it up. They did. They threw consecutive passes to Justin Jefferson for 45 yards. They go down the field, and they're up 14-7. And like you said, it felt like the Vikings sort of had control of this game until they didn't, because the 49ers just went on this monstrous march to end the first half. I don't know how many plays it was. I think it was double digits, but
it was a 15 play, 85 yards.
15 plays, 85 yards, and it took up
8 minutes and 20 seconds.
8 minutes took up the rest of the first half, pretty much.
Not with Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback. That wasn't Aaron Rodgers.
The devastatingly handsome Jimmy Garoppolo, ladies and
Come
gentlemen.
on, you let Jimmy G run 16-play drives on you. You got a problem.
And and when they had the ball and the 2-minute warning hit, I just wanted to know what kind of disaster was going to befall the Vikings to give up a touchdown, because they have now given up 62 points in the last 2 minutes of the first half.
Why does that keep happening, guys? I need an explanation.
I don't have an answer for you. I mean, it's
been happening all season and it's not getting fixed. When the same problem keeps happening and it's not getting fixed, why is that? Why?
I would argue coaching, but what do I know? I'm just a schlub on a YouTube channel, man.
No, I'm relatively certain.
Isn't that a Moody Blues song?
Coaching. Yeah, I'm relatively certain that coaching is the correct answer here. But I mean, this is week 12. How the hell have you not seen it by now? What the hell?
Exactly.
I mean, God almighty.
Insanity. Doing the same thing over, not fixing it. You got to try to fix it somehow, not just let it keep happening.
Oh, go ahead, Drew.
No, go ahead. You go ahead. I'm just grumbling like an old man that I am. It's so frustrating because they beat themselves so much during the game. They beat themselves. They're doing this during the game, and then it's amazing they're in these games with as many mistakes as they make. And then The sad thing is the way the culture's built. At the end of the third quarter, we're down by 7. I think I just have this feeling of gloom. I have a feeling we're not going to win, and that's not how it's supposed to be.
No. And the thing is, the Vikings, after seemingly being in control, at least until the 49ers got the ball on that last drive to end the first half, that they were still playing to a point where I thought, like my head says they're playing good enough to win, but in my heart, I think I don't know what's going to happen, but something is going to happen.
Right. That's what I kind of meant. That's a better explanation of how I feel.
Well, and it did. It sort of played out in that whole second half. The 49ers get the ball and they march right down the field. And the next thing you know, it's 21-14. Kirk, on the very first play, the Vikings get the ball back, throws a pick. It's returned down to the 2. The next play after that, the 49ers score. And now you're looking at it's 28-14. And if you're old like me, you barely had enough time to go to the bathroom, get a beer, and come back and sit down and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we say that whenever the Vikings win the toss, they do this thing where they defer and they try to double up or whatever. But the Niners actually accomplished that. I mean, they got the end of the first half score, they got the beginning of the second half score, and then I don't know what the hell Kirk Cousins was looking at on that interception, but that was awful. I mean, the defender was right there. But to the Vikings' credit, I mean, after that happened, they came back and started swinging again. So,
that's what they always Vikings, do, Chris.
I know they
always play best when they're 2 touchdowns down. They do. Why can't you play that way when you're 2 touchdowns up?
No, and other teams might have just rolled over at that point, but they fought back, which like you said is what they do all the time now.
Well, like you said, they did fight back, and they come back and they scored a touchdown. Alexander Madison scored. I don't know if you guys saw when he walked into the end zone, but there was a lady in the end zone. She had a Tarkington t-shirt on, and she was pointing at him like, "Give me the ball! Give me the ball!"
I saw that. That was very, very cool.
It cracked me up. And then Greg Joseph promptly misses the extra point, and it's now 28-20, and the Vikings are going to be chasing a point for the rest of the game.
Pretty much.
Of course.
I mean, there's a song back in I think it was the 80s, maybe the 90s. I don't know. Paula Abdul, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's for this team, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back because they cannot.
For me? I'm not familiar with it.
No, I will not.
No. Darn it. I was hoping the fans could get a little catch of Ted Glover's voice right there.
It just feels like the Vikings cannot get ahead of the curve on anything because as soon as it seems like they do an early score, an early lead, they go to their laminated sheet of mistakes that you coined it, Drew. And the next thing you know, they're giving up big plays on defense. They're turning the ball over. And now you go from a 14-7 lead to a 28-14 deficit in the blink of an eye.
You give a team starting possession inside your 10 twice in one football game, you're probably not winning that football game.
No.
I have a question for you guys, though. I noticed a pattern that started last week with that game against that team from Wisconsin. It seemed like the Vikings hold it together for about a quarter and a half. And then they go into this defensive lull where the other team scores on like 6 drives in a row. It seemed like it happened. I would be interested to see the third quarter scoring the last 2 weeks. The opposing team against us. I bet you that's damn near up at 50. Just that one quarter. It seems like the third quarter against Green Bay, the third quarter against San Francisco. I'd be interested to know how many points we gave up because it seemed like the third quarter we just tanked, Ted. We tank.
Well, let's see. The third quarter this week was 49ers 20, Vikings 12. The third quarter last week was only 7-7. So
okay. Well, I was thinking they scored more points, but it just seems right in that area is where the oil pan starts to leak, Ted. Right around that area, about the end of the first half, which we all know we give up points, and then the third quarter. Up to that point, it seems like we're holding it steady. It seems like there's something that goes wrong or haywire right in that area. I don't know. Maybe it just happened the last 2 weeks and it stuck out in my head. I don't know what it is. It just seems like that.
You're absolutely right. This what we have watched this year today is the Vikings every single week. The point totals are a little bit different. They may be at home, they may be away, but essentially it's the same pattern. They'll score, get an early lead, let the opponent back into it. They'll have to play catch up or try and hold on to a very narrow lead against a really bad team. And at the end, it's going to come down to essentially one final play that the Vikings more often than not failed to execute. Now they did execute a couple times this year. They kicked that field goal against Detroit. There's a couple other plays I can't think of off the top of my head where they won. But for the most part, this team should not do this every single week.
Chris? They all feel the same, though, don't they? The games all seem to feel the same.
Yeah,
they do. I mean, whether they're up 14 or they're down 14, the game is going to end or follow basically the same pattern. It's going to come down to one possession at the end. I mean, and yeah, we're 11 games into this season, and 10 of these games have been, one possession games. The only one that wasn't was the Seattle game. We won by 13 points. I mean, this team could literally, and I know we make jokes about this team could literally be anywhere from 1-10 to 11-0 at this point, just because of the way these things go. And if you play close games all the time, sometimes you're going to be successful and sometimes you're not. And it's just the way this thing goes every week.
And you know what, Chris? That's coaching and culture. That's all that is. That's what that is.
Exactly.
You got to put games away.
Exactly.
What is it? Wang Wu ran that other touchdown back on the kickoff. Who were we playing on that week?
That was the what week was that? Was that the Carolina game at the start of the second half?
I thought it was a home game, but I could be wrong.
It was the Baltimore game. I remember now, the Baltimore game.
So we played two games where we had kickoff return touchdowns and we lost both of them?
Yep.
Yes. You are correct.
Culture. There
you are correct, sir.
Come on, yes, sir. When you get a kickoff return for a touchdown, you gotta win that game, bro.
Here's the thing, Drew. You brought up a great point about coaching and culture, and if you've watched our shows either with Drew and I or when Drew and I and Chris appeared over on Climbing the Pocket Network, we have all said this at one point. In the NFL, everybody has 500 talent. And the difference between 10-1 or 1-10 is coaching. I would submit to you guys that a good coach has 2 or 3 more wins for this team minimum than what we are sitting at right now.
No argument here. I agree.
At least. Yep.
I just Jason Feinhag, I bet Ted had smaller LZs to land in than the Vikings in zone coverage.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody that can make me laugh and use a helicopter reference, I wasn't going to give out a prize because you're going to die. You all right? What's going on?
Yeah, fine. It made me laugh.
You need to cut down to a pack and a half a day or something. Really?
I quit 4 years ago and I coughed more than I did when I smoked. That's a great comment. Thank you,
anybody that can make me laugh like that after a Vikings loss and an Ohio State loss, Jason Feinhag, you are getting a prize, my friend. Vikings Report at Vikings Report with Drew and Ted at gmail.com. Hit up Ruby on the email address and she'll get you to the prize vault and all that stuff. So yeah, Wang Wu has that touchdown and then it was 28-20. 49ers kicked a field goal. Wang Wu had that kickoff return for a touchdown. And the very next play, the defense got a stop, huge stop.
Right.
And on the very next play, when the Vikings got the ball back, Dalvin Cook got hurt his shoulder. Somebody said in the comments, I can't remember who it was, going to be an MRI on Monday. It's a shoulder injury. Maybe that was Nick Howard. I can't remember. And they gave up the ball and the 49ers got the ball back. Now Dalvin Cook's hurt and then Christian Darrisaw got hurt. So 2 of the big players on offense are now we're looking at potential injuries, and Cook looked serious when he got carted off.
But you see, they don't want the momentum. They don't want it.
No.
They give it right back every goddamn damn time.
It's unbelievable.
What do they teach in this place?
Oh, hey, and I was kind of on Twitter the whole game griping about why Kene Wang has not played more. And somebody just said, Jay Johnson says, Zimmer says there's a, quote, a chance Kene Wang will get more playing time after today.
if Dalvin Cook is hurt, they're not going to have any damn choice because Madison's the only other running back they've got right now. And
I guess
Chris
they could
Gates.
trade back for Amir Abdullah.
Chris Gates.
Sure.
I know Madison has tenure. What's it called? Senior, whatever it's called. Been there longer.
Yeah, seniority. Yeah.
Would you give Wang Chung a chance back there over Madison to start a game?
Absolutely.
I think I would too.
I mean, they're different backs. I mean, Madison's obviously more the between the tackles type runner, but Wangwu, I mean, we've seen it twice on kickoff returns this year. I mean, the guy has special ability that even Dalvin Cook might not even have, quite frankly. I mean,
that's quite a statement.
He's got this guy has so much speed that he's one of those guys that you need to manufacture touches for somehow, and they're not doing it.
He's got more speed than Steven Tyler in the 70s.
But see, this is what I don't get. Drew, I go back to our when we were previewing running backs and you watch Wangwu's tape from Iowa State, and he just had this speed that just jumped out at you. And I would think, and this just goes back to the whole coaching staff philosophy for me. You have a kid that has a special talent. I mean, he does. He reminds me returning kicks. He reminds me of Percy Harvin. He reminds me of a guy that can take it to the house whenever he gets his hands on the ball. And the fact he isn't playing more, I mean, I get you can't start him over Dalvin Cook, but you can if you, Chris, I think you posted this on Twitter during the game. Something about if the Vikings could find touches for Amir Abdullah, they sure as hell should be able to find touches for Kene Wangwu.
Hell yes!
And you talk about the Harvin comparison. If you look back at that Vikings offense when Percy Harvin was here, when he came in 2009, they were doing all that stuff with him. They were lining him up in the backfield. They were splitting him out wide. They were bringing him in on sweeps and stuff like that. There's no reason they can't do that with this kid. None at all.
And a lot of folks in the comments have been saying, Zimmer doesn't play rookies, and that's not really necessarily true. He played Dalvin Cook as a rookie. He started Pat Elflein. He started rookies, but those guys were generally their high round draft picks, and guys like farther down the line like Patrick Jones. So we've talked about this before. I mean, why? Where was Patrick Jones a second today? Was he hurt?
Oh,
No.
I mean, all your entire starting defensive line is out.
Hey, Ted, when Wang Chung takes another kickoff back, when he comes back to the sidelines, doesn't Zimmer look like a dope for not? I mean,
he looks like a complete moron.
Come on, dude. I mean, what does he say when he runs by him? Well, I can't help you if you don't put me in. I mean,
here we go. Hey, coach, I'm ready to go in anytime. All right, we'll see. Coach, I'm ready to go in anytime. Okay, we'll see. I mean, what is going on? The guy is a playmaker. Put in your playmakers.
Exactly.
What do you?
God.
You're like Arab Parsegian from Rudy over there. What the hell are you? What the hell?
God.
Yes, it's like, dude, what do you need to see? The guy's touched it like 8 times and has 2 touchdowns.
He's returned 7 kickoffs. He's taken 2 of them back 99 yards. Give the kid the damn football.
Chris Gates is exactly right. If you're going to give Amir friggin' Abdullah chances and not Wang Chung, what is wrong with you?
I don't get it. I honest to God don't get it. And then on the play, Dalvin Cook was hurt.
Arab Parsegian.
and let's roll this into on the play. Dalvin Cook was hurt because he got lit up because Oli Udo got lit up and couldn't, and he was blocked right back into Cook. I mean,
Right.
that was a bad play, and Cook like he got hurt. Cook looked like he got hurt fairly significantly. He was holding his shoulder and he got carted off. Can we be done with Oli Udo? I mean, Wyatt Davis wasn't
Apparently
even
not.
today. I don't get it. I simply do not get it.
No, and we've talked about guys like Wyatt Davis, guys like Patrick Jones. I don't think Chaz Surratt has been active for a game this year. He might have been active once or twice. But if you're taking guys in the third round of the draft, unless you're taking a quarterback, I mean, I can understand why Kellen Mond hasn't played. But those other 3 guys you took in the third round, if you're using third round picks on guys, they should be able to contribute right away somehow.
I got a question for you, Chris Gates. Chris Gates,
Sure.
I had a question for you. Look at Chaz Surratt's tape at North Carolina. Look at it. Look at that guy's instincts on tape and the way he runs people down. That and the preseason he had. Good and good. What do you have to do to get on the field for this team? What more does Chaz Surratt have to do, Ted, to get a chance? Give him a chance. We don't give people chances.
Today, the Vikings were pretty thin on defense, and there were a couple guys.
Put Bynum in and get Woods out of there. Get Woods out of there. Woods is getting killed out there.
On defense, there were a couple guys I saw make tackles with numbers I didn't recognize, and I thought, who the hell is that guy? I wonder if that's Chaz Surratt. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. No. It was Bob Odenkirk from freaking Breaking Bad. I don't know who it was. But they're playing, and I those guys that you draft in the second, third round, and as with many third round picks the Vikings had, there's no excuse they should not be seeing the field at this point in the year, especially when this many defensive starters were out.
They had one play early in the game in the first quarter. They sent Deebo Samuel on an in cut. I think it was Samuel or that number 11 annoying guy, that number 11.
Ayuk
caught it. They showed the replay. Woods looked like a kid who just got off a merry-go-round. Not fucking guy. He's all stumbling and spinning around, and I'm thinking he doesn't know anything about what he's doing out there. Put Bynum in. Why not change it up? Change it up.
I think Bynum wasn't active today, unfortunately, with his ankle issue.
Yeah, neither was Wyatt Davis.
Put him in anyway.
Violate the rules. We don't care.
Put him in someone else's jersey. Throw him out there.
Well, that would be a good reason not to put him in. But Woods had another crappy game today. 2 in a row now. 2 stinkers in a row. So, Chaz Surratt thing. I mean, with Vigil, looks like he got a separated shoulder to me. I'm speculating, but that looked like it was a really bad injury. It did look like it. Maybe Surratt will get in there next week.
So the Vikings, they're down after Cook's fumble. The defense actually held the 49ers, got a field goal. It's 34-26, which ended up being the final score of the game. The Vikings had another drive. They got down. First and goal to go. First and goal, the Vikings run right into the line with Alexander Mattison, no gain. Second and goal, run into the line with Alexander Mattison, no gain. Third and goal, Kirk underthrows Tyler Conklin. It really would have been a tough catch. Fourth down, Kirk, cool under pressure, Cousins breaks the huddle, lines up over the right guard. Alexander Madison's Kirk, you're lined up over the guard.
Did he really? I didn't see that.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. That's why they had to call timeout. Yeah. Everybody's yelling at Kirk, you're up over the guard. You're up over the guard. He actually comes up to the line and slaps the guard on the leg like he's the center. And then they have to call time. Oh, yeah, it was bad.
You know, John Elway did that his very first snap in the NFL.
Yeah.
Elway did that.
I do want to point out that we got hosed earlier on that drive because there was a play where Adam Thielen absolutely had a catch.
That was a catch.
And they challenged it, and they, for whatever reason, said it wasn't a catch. That screwed us out of one timeout.
Yeah.
And then they had to call timeout there, so they wound up having only one timeout left. We got hosed on that.
They did get hosed. Yeah, that was why even have replay? Because it seemed obvious to me that he had both hands under the ball, secured the ball, possessed the ball, and the ball didn't touch the ground. But what's a catch in the NFL? Who knows?
Chad, I wanted a field goal right there with 10 minutes left. What did you think of that, going for it? What did you think? What did you guys think?
I agreed with the call, Chris.
Yeah, I had no problem with him going for it there because, at that point, you don't know if you're going to stop him again. So, I mean, how much You said there was like 10 minutes left, something like that.
It was
There
nine something.
9:08 left when the Vikings turned the ball over.
I just felt field goal there.
I still think I agree with him going for it. I mean, we can't constantly complain about wanting Mike Zimmer to be more aggressive and then complain when he gets aggressive.
Okay, let me change that into what about running Madison twice on first and second down? It really had no.
That was stupid.
If there was ever an area of the field where Kene Nwangwu should have been on the field, that was it, because that dude creates mismatches everywhere. What linebacker is going to cover that dude? What safety is going to cover that dude? Nobody. Run him on a jet sweep. Nobody's going to beat him to the corner.
Everybody watching, get your arm up there. Everybody looking in on the.
I thought a great play would have been like a fake kind of a fake handoff to Hamm, and then just like an option toss to Nwangwu out on the perimeter, because everybody would have collapsed on Hamm. And I bet Nwangwu could have beat anybody on the 49ers defense to the pylon. Anybody.
Come on, Ted. We're not going to get innovative now, Ted. Come on.
Well, and the reason I wanted to go for it, you said kick the field goal, and that kind of makes sense. But my thought was, from that last drive the 49ers had in the first half, where it was like 15 plays, 8 minutes, whatever it was, where they scored a touchdown, all the way through the second half, the Vikings defense could not get off the field. The 49ers were just absolutely gashing him in the run game. And I had absolutely zero confidence that they could have stopped the 49ers to the point of forcing a punt to get the ball back to go down and score a touchdown. I thought at a minimum, the 49ers would have gone down and kicked a field goal. And they tried to kick a field goal, and Robbie Gould missed, which gave the Vikings hope. But they didn't have any timeouts, and their 2-minute drive failed, and the game ended.
Yeah, with the way the defense is playing, I can understand that point of going for it, now that you mentioned that. But what about that pass defense over the middle of the field, Chris Gates? How many times did Niners hit that 20-yard square in route?
There wasn't any.
That must have been like 8 to 10 times they hit that play. They hit that same play over and over, and where Harrison Smith had to tackle him, but it's like nobody around. Over and over.
The Vikings, what the Vikings lacked in defensive pressure for the most part today, they made up for it with an incredible inability to cover wide open wide receivers on the 49ers. Yep. It was unbelievable. It was a complete breakdown. I think Jimmy Garoppolo had more yards passing than Kirk Cousins, or it was really close up until the end of the game.
He had 238 for Cousins, 230 for handsome Jimmy.
I mean,
what is wrong with Breland? What is wrong with that guy?
I don't know.
He's trash.
He looked.
I mean, there's that. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking. I'm looking at the stats, and if you'd asked me before looking at the numbers here, I would have thought that Brandon Ayuk had like 10 catches today. He caught 3 passes, but every time he caught a pass, there was nobody within 15 yards of him.
I bet he had 100 yards. Did he have 100 yards? He probably had 3 catches.
Yeah, 3 catches. That's like Anthony Carter numbers right there. 3 catches for 91 yards. What the hell?
Where did he go to school?
Oh, God. Oh, here we go.
All right.
Oh, hey, real quick, speaking of that, Nick Bosa had a sack, and like the first Ohio State defensive player that does anything all weekend makes a good play, and it's against the Vikings. So that was good. Whatever.
Oh, yeah, that was wonderful.
Shane McNamara. Yeah, it's just Ted said it best about 20 minutes ago. It seems like the same thing we watch every time. You never think that the Vikings are going to put their foot down and go, all right, we're going to knock this team out of the stadium. It never feels like that. It never does.
Did you guys see? Oh, go ahead, Chris.
The Minnesota Vikings are the football equivalent of the TV show House. I love House, okay? But every episode of House follows the same sequence of events. Somebody gets sick, and then they think they have a cure, and then it turns out they don't have a cure, and then they do something illegal or something, and then in the end, Dr. House says, "Well, I knew this was what was happening all along." The Vikings are football House at this point, because it's the same damn thing. It's the same thing every week. I swear to God it is.
But it's not lupus, because it's never lupus.
It's never lupus. Why would it be lupus?
That's when we hide our drugs in the lupus book.
You seriously hide your drugs in a? It's never lupus.
Are you high? Are you high? Higher than you.
Oh, God, I'm glad we can laugh about this.
Why can't they just get it done, guys? Why? I mean, it is the same feeling. It's like the Vikings make all these mistakes, but yet they're within striking distance in the fourth quarter. And I think I told Tootsis this during the game. If they didn't make all these bonehead mistakes, they'd probably be in good shape, but they can't do it. They can't not do it.
Mark
This
Larson.
is built for,
oh, go ahead.
It's built for mistakes, Ted.
Mark Larson, Jimmy G made clutch throws today. Kirk didn't, and that's very true. After Kirk threw that interception,
good point.
He was pretty much cheeks the rest of the day.
He kind of was.
He really did not. He was dealing early. I mean, he looked good, but when he threw that interception, I don't know if he got rattled or started overthinking stuff or whatever it was Kirk does when he becomes bad Kirk, but he became bad Kirk. Now, to his credit, he hasn't done that much this year.
No, he hasn't. I mean, like you said, after the interception, there was the Wongwu took the kickoff back and they went for the 2-point conversion. And the 2-point conversion throw, he tried to hit Justin Jefferson and he like dirted it at the guy's feet. And Jefferson just basically looked at him like, "Are you kidding me?" And he was wide open. He was wide open. And then the fourth down play where he was going for Jefferson again, he threw it into like the fourth row of the seats. What the hell was he kind of short circuited there after the interception? Like you said, he hasn't done that much this year, but he did it today.
I think on that fourth and goal throw towards the end of the game, when he overthrew Jefferson, he threw it and hit one of the bodies of the Anglin brothers who escaped from Alcatraz in San Francisco Bay. He overthrew that ball so bad.
You know, how many of our founding father Viking players, when that play happened, said Joe Cap would have ran that thing in. Joe Cap would have gladly ran that thing in. He had open grass and run it in, man. Run the ball in. You could have made it. And he didn't want to do it.
Do you think he would have made it? I don't think he would have. I don't think Kirk has the wheels.
Come on, man.
I'd have to go back and look at the play again. I don't know if he had enough space to.
I haven't watched it over and over again or done a Zabruder breakdown, but it seemed to me there was some open space there where he could have ran it in.
GMAX72 had a good comment. A team takes on the identity of their coach, and I got to tell you, or the personality of their head coach, and I can't disagree. I mean, there's this lack of decisiveness on the Vikings coaching staff. I mean, they'll start out aggressive, and then they get conservative, and then all of a sudden when they're down, they get aggressive again. Did you guys check out any of the early scores from the noon games?
I didn't.
Yeah, I had the Red Zone channel on while I was waiting for the game to start, but I wasn't paying like super close attention there.
The Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh yeah,
they took the Pittsburgh Steelers out to the woodshed and had prison sex with them, man. It was like 41-10. And the Minnesota Vikings, I'm not saying this needs to happen every week. I don't expect, like a college team playing a 1AA school or whatever and winning 75-0 or whatever it is early in the year. But why can't the Minnesota Vikings, when they get a lead, just put their foot on the gas and not let up? Because as soon as they get it's like they get comfortable and are okay with setting the car on cruise control and going into the right lane and letting everybody start passing them. I don't get it.
That's what Zimmer learned, and that's what he's going to stick to. It's just the way that guy coaches. I don't understand it. At this point, it happens so much. We can't run anybody out of the stadium, and he doesn't want to.
No, and the sad thing is, I mean, next week, you want to get your momentum back. You're going to Detroit next week. The Detroit Lions are 0-10-1. If there was a team that you were going to absolutely go out and annihilate, it should be the Detroit Lions next week. But like we say every week, it's not going to happen. It's going to come down to the fourth quarter against a team that has no business taking the Minnesota Vikings all the way to the fourth quarter. But they should blow out Detroit next week, and then they get that same Steelers team on a short week the week after that. So I mean, they're not dead or anything like that yet, but they need to find some kind of killer instinct or mentality, because there is no reason for them not to go out and boat race Detroit this coming weekend. I mean, Detroit's already packed it in for the season. They're looking at draft magazines and stuff like that already. So I mean,
why can't they build on a lead, guys? Ted, why can't they build on a lead? Why?
I think Chris hit on it. That Mike Zimmer grew up in this era of you run the ball, you get a lead, and then you play defense and you hold the lead and you get out of there with a.
That's not what football is anymore.
no,
It isn't. It isn't Mike. Look, tell that to Mike Zimmer because that's. I mean, that's what I see him try to do week in and week out, and then he doesn't unleash the offense until he has to. And when the Vikings went down 28-14 after that pick and all that, then they had to. And offensively, they still really didn't do much. I think the only score they had in the second half was the kickoff return, wasn't it? Or no, they had another touchdown, didn't they?
yeah, they had the Madison touchdown. And
Yeah,
then
that's
they
right,
had
yeah.
the Longwu touchdown.
Yeah, they
That
had
was
that
it.
Madison score. That's right. Yeah.
Seems like the same thing every week.
Here's a good comment. I want to get your guys' thoughts on Matthew
I
Edwards.
like comments.
Matthew Edwardson says, one thing I can't stand about Cousins is that to me, he looks like it almost looks like he's never having fun. His face always looks like he's had an enema and he's trying to hold it in. I mean, I like the last part because it makes me laugh and I'm perpetually 12. But I mean, it goes to a larger point that we talked about the body language the Vikings possess when things start going against them. Chris, Drew and I talked about it on our last show, and it just feels like there's this here we go again thing with this team, and you can almost. It's almost palpable. You can almost tell within a play or a offensive or defensive series that this is it. This is the turning point in this football game, and it happens every week.
No, and I guess part of me can understand it because we've been doing jobs and stuff long enough. We know different people have different styles of leadership, I guess, and Kirk, I guess, just wants to be one of those people that never gets too high, never gets too low, just kind of tries to keep things on an even keel or whatever. But, every once in a while in football, you need a dude that's going to be like, dude, we need to unjam our heads and, go out there and, get angry, get whatever you got to do. But, I mean, yeah, I don't know about, now that I think about it, he does kind of look like he's not actually like enjoying himself. But, I mean, like I said, that might just be him not wanting to kind of ride the roller coaster of emotion too much.
GMAX72 with a pretty good comment. Here's my thing with Zimmer's philosophy. When we actually do get a lead and try to run the clock out, do we ever actually do it?
No.
Good point.
That's a really good point.
Man, I love the people who watch this show. I love these comments. Thank you so much, everybody. They're really they don't hold back. They tell us. And that's what I love. They don't hold back.
G-Mac again. With friends like Cousins, who needs enemas?
Nice.
That's perfect.
Oh, my goodness.
That's perfect. He doesn't seem like he's having fun out there. I don't think it's fun for him. I think he kind of just goes, I'm heading to the stadium, honey. Got my game today. Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, whether we win or lose, I'll be home, and then we'll take care of that. Looking at those drapery things you got going, that's really what's important.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'd like to see Kirk have a little bit more. It's a mystery. I think he is what he is.
I mean,
he go Brett Favre on you and freak out and tell people, yell at people, and he's just not. He's not. But you take. That Green Bay game could have ended in disaster for him last week. That would have been 2 weeks in a row that he's back to old Kirk. I don't like the way Cousins played today. I don't. He missed a lot of passes.
He did, and he really kind of unraveled after that interception, which that was a terrible throw. I've watched the replay, and I have no idea what he was looking at or where he was throwing.
What the hell was that weird exchange when he threw that weird screen to Cook? It was incomplete, and he started yelling at Cook. It was just a terrible play. It's like Cook was like, "What are you throwing it to me for?" It was like total confusion. But Kirk reacted like Kirk Cousins reacted like Cook did something wrong. It was in the third quarter. It was during one of those You know what's
Yeah.
weird? It was during one of those times the Vikings have about 2 or 3 drives during a game where you're scratching your head going, what was that? Don't they?
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
It's like run for a loss of 2, a really inexplicable incomplete pass, and then like a false start, and then an incomplete pass, and then they punt, and you're going, what the hell was that? That happens like 2 or 3 times a game. But it was one of those type of things. And he threw it behind Cook, and Cook was going, and then Cousins reacted like he did something wrong, like Cook did something wrong. And I was looking, and Ruby said, what the heck was that? And I go, that's the Vikings. That's what they do, weird things, dude.
I think the play you're talking about, I think Vilma said something along the lines of Cook made a business decision on that pass. Because there was a linebacker that had like a 15-yard run at him, and Cousins was trying to flip it out to him on like a swing.
It was like 3 yards behind him, though.
Yeah, it was, but I don't know what the hell was. Like you said, there's two or three drives every game where you just don't have any idea what the hell this offense.
That's probably the bigger point I was trying to make.
Nick Howard agrees with you. He said Cook made a business decision there. And a funny thing about these business decisions, it seems like the Vikings players are making a lot more of those than they used to. I mean, I don't see I see Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen selling out and going 100% all whole game. But when guys can make a play, a lot of times it's not like a huge sellout, sacrifice the body kind of thing. And maybe I'm off on that, but it just seems like there's a lot more business decisions being made by some players than there used to be from when Mike Zimmer first took over.
You're not off on that.
No, I don't think you're off on that either.
Go ahead. You go ahead and look at Patrick Peterson's tape today too. Then
he got blocked into San Francisco Bay on one of those Deebo Samuel runs, I think it was.
Talk about run to Alcatraz. He got ran to Fisherman's Wharf, bro.
I think he got taken all the way to the Oregon State line.
He got taken to Tier 39 and violated.
All righty.
Patrick Peterson isn't what I thought he was going to be.
The whole Vikings defense, and that's just another indictment. This, we talk about Mike Zimmer being this defensive guru. He brought in all these guys he wanted to fix his defense, and they came in today. They were the 25th or 26th ranked total defense, Drew? I can't remember when.
27th, I believe.
27th.
Yeah.
And they are probably not going up. If not, I would say, if anything, they're going to go down after today's performance, especially in the run defense.
425 total yards allowed, and we ended up with 293. San Francisco is no offensive juggernaut now, guys. Come on.
They're not.
No.
And their defense is good, but it's not less than 300 yards for your offense good.
But we revert back to the beginning of the show, and Chris says we don't have any of our defensive linemen. That's what Zimmer's going to play at the end of the year. I don't have my guys. Give me the guys, and that's what he does every year. I don't have my guys.
He does. He does have his guys. He drafted all these guys. He brought back, the only guy he doesn't have, two now, Daniil Hunter and Everson Griffin. All these other guys are his. All these other guys are guys he scouted that he wanted. Tomlinson and Pierce and Lynch and Wanham and all these other dudes. I don't want to hear it. I'm so done with excuses.
Vigil got hurt. It looked like Barr got hurt. 2 linebackers got hurt. There's no freaking reason Chad Surratt should not be on the field versus the Lions. Don't give me a reason. I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take any reasons.
There's also no reason Patrick Jones shouldn't see the field against the Lions either.
You're damn Skippy. Is that how it goes?
Or Wyatt Davis at this point.
Or Wyatt Davis. So, all right.
That was a big loss.
That was a brutal. The Vikings, they entered today with a 66% chance to go to the playoffs. If they had beaten San Francisco, it would have gone up in the 80% per the 538 website. I spend way too many hours on. A loss today drops them down to right at 50%, depending on how the other games played out. Even if they somehow manage to back in as the 7th seed, this battle for mediocrity for the 7th seed, it's still not good enough for me. Playoffs are better than no playoffs. Don't get me wrong, but this is not a team with the talent on this roster that should be battling for just the 7th seed.
Did that team from Wisconsin win?
They won pretty big. Yeah, they beat LA pretty handily. Yeah.
All right, division's gone. Division's gone.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Let's not talk about the division anymore this year.
No, it's over with. Speaking of over with, this show is coming up on an hour. I think people are getting done talking about listening to us talk. So we should probably. Well, before we do wrap it up, hey, A couple of quick programming notes for Vikings Report with Drew and Ted. So the Vikings are playing the Lions next week. We will have our usual Friday and Sunday show. The following week is a quick turnaround. They're playing the Steelers. I am going out to Las Vegas to see my grandson and his Christmas show. So we will not have a weekly show. We will not have our normal Friday show because the Vikings are playing on Thursday, and that would be kind of stupid. But what we're going to do is we are going to do a live extravaganza. We're going to come on the air about 30 minutes before, and you can sit and watch the entire game with us. And Chris, we hope you join us. I meant to talk to you about this earlier, but come join us. And it's going to be a live watch party, Vikings Report watch party for the Steelers on Thursday night. And then we'll do a quick recap once the game's over. But you'll hear our running commentary throughout the course of the game. So Thursday night, the Steelers game, it's going to be a live pregame, live watch party, and then a live postgame. Spend your Thursday night with us. What else you got to do?
Come on, make Chris commit on air, Ted. Then he can't back out. Come on, Chris.
Is this a bring your own bottle sort of thing?
Yeah.
Bring whatever you want, brother.
And break open those damn Dorito chips behind you, buddy.
Hey, Chris, we did a 6-hour draft show together straight.
We did.
Don't tell me it's not going to be longevity is a problem because I know you can handle it. So be with us on that Thursday night Steeler game.
I believe there's a meme out there that goes something along the lines of "You son of a bitch, I'm in." Yeah, I am in. I will be there, and it's going to be freaking great.
That's going to be fun. We might have some stories that night.
Absolutely.
Right. Dan Lee tells us they're even with the loss today, they're still the number 7 seed. If Washington wins tomorrow night, the Vikes drop to 8. But whatever, 7th seed is just
I don't care.
Such an underachievement for this iteration of the Minnesota Vikings. So, anyways, for those of you that are watching now, I hope you join us for our live Thursday night extravaganza with the Steelers. Chris, why don't you give us your final thoughts and we'll get out of here.
I mean, like we've said, this happens every week. That the Vikings had their opportunities, they didn't take advantage of their opportunities, and now rather than being 6-5 and going home to play Detroit on a 3-game winning streak, they are 5-6 and trying to get the mojo back when they play Detroit next weekend. If they lose to Detroit, Mike Zimmer needs to be fired before they get back to Minneapolis, but I don't think that's going to happen. But we'll definitely be here for it next week, regardless of what happens.
Drew.
That's pretty well said right there by Mr. Era Barsigian. Another tough loss today, but I love the people who comment on the show and who join us for Vikings Rewind. I love being here with you guys and talking football and you guys putting up with all my BS. We are Vikings fans, so we know it's never easy. We will give it a go next week. And hey, let's look at the bright side, Ted. Next week, we're going to beat Detroit. We'll be world beaters again. Yeah, beat the Lions. Yeah, we're in it. Yeah, let's go. You know that's going to happen, so let's just look forward to that, shall we?
Super Bowl, homeboy.
There we go. It's going to be Super Bowl, homeboy. And shout out to Michigan. What a hell of a game they played.
It would be nice if one of my favorite football teams could beat a team from Michigan.
It is a tough weekend for you, wasn't it?
It's brutal. Football is terrible and awful.
You know what? I real quick, I said something to Ruby during the game. That game yesterday between Michigan and Ohio State had like 1/100th of the mistakes this game had, and these are college players.
Yeah, it did.
It was two teams fighting back and forth for field position, scoring, whatever. It seemed like real football. It was better to watch.
Ohio State's defense couldn't get off the field, but whatever. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
And we haven't pointed out that at least one Minnesota team had some success this weekend because the Axe is back in Dinkytown thanks to the Gophers defense giving up 0 offensive touchdowns on Saturday to the Badgers.
Yeah, so PJ Fleck, next Viking coach, right?
The Badgers who will not be playing Michigan in the Big Ten championship game because Iowa's going instead, thanks to the Gophers. So
thank you, Gophers.
Kudos to them for that bit of success, and yeah, we just wanted to throw that in before we jumped off air here, I think.
Congratulations to the Fighting Flex. Bringing that axe back home to Dinkytown. All right. We've been doing this long enough. For Chris, for Drew, for Toonces, again, thanks, Ruby, for doing all that stuff. that you do to get this thing on the air. Appreciate it. Folks, for those of you that joined us, we really appreciate you joining in. Love the comments. Wish I could interact more. I'm trying, but we'll try to do better the next time. And we will see you Thursday at 10 a.m. Central for the next edition of Vikings Report. Drew and Ted. Take care, everybody.
Say good night, Ted.
Good night, Ted.